Let me go across to Maitri Sheth, who's the pharma analyst at Choice Institutional Equities, who's been waiting by very, very patiently. Maitri, thank you so much. Had to close that conversation. I hope you understand perils of live TV. But give us a sense, Maitri, how significant is this? Short term, medium term, long term? How realistic is it, the 100% tariff on US generics that will be imported into the US from 1st August of 2028?
Thank you, first of all, for having me. Coming on to tariffs, we think that they have given a 2-year timeline for everyone to have their own manufacturing facilities in the US, and I think that is more than enough for few companies. But more than that, we think majority of the Indian companies already do have a presence in terms of manufacturing in the US, be it the big players or mid cap players as well. And I don't think that this should be a very significant impact. They have announced tariff earlier as well, and the companies have assessed this earlier, and they have said that they'll be either passing down the cost or they'll try to diversify this.
Maitri, hi, Sajid here. In your opinion, if any of the pharma majors decide to invest into the US to set up those facilities, what kind of cost advantage or disadvantage will be there in terms of margins for them?
So if they have a US-based facilities, the margins should continue to expand as they have said. So 50, 100 bits is something that we can see for the companies. Given the good pipeline that they have been shifting more towards complex generics than plain generics. So these companies that have a significant presence in terms of generics also is majority either on the complex side or high margin side. So that should offset the impact. But other than that, for companies like Marksans, if we talk about that have a very high presence in the US, but have mainly plain vanilla generics, they should see at least an impact of 50 to 100 bits if they do not diversify, if they are not able to pass down the cost.
Biggest impact in terms of stocks, Maitri, which will, in your opinion, react in terms of earnings? Who will it impact the most?
We think Marksans Pharma will see a very huge impact. We have more than 50% of revenue coming from the US. Granules we just spoke about, and they have facilities in the US. Marksans do not have a facility as of now, and they do not have it on the plans either. They are shifting more towards UK and Europe, but it will take some time. So unless they are able to do so, we think the impact would be at least 100 bits for them. 2 years.
Likely is it? So 6.5% low on Marksans Pharma. We can pull that one out. But Maitri, trying to understand how meaningful would how realistic is it that this 100% tariff is actually levied and some bit of it may have to be absorbed by the US consumer? How likely is that to happen?
We don't think this is going to happen. They have already announced this earlier last year as well. They had to withdraw from it because they have assessed the impact on their end users and customers, their pharma players, and it is not something that impacts us more than it impacts them more than it impacts us. And we think that this is not something that will definitely likely go through. Maybe we'll have a better idea 2 months, 3 months, 6 months down the line. On how the end users are reacting, how the companies are reacting. But given their dependence on Indian generics, we think that they'll have to reassess. Maybe they'll lower the tariffs down. I'm not saying that they'll completely waive off the tariffs, but maybe they'll lower it down.
Okay. How well placed are we, Maitri, from an India manufacturing standpoint and from an India manufacturer standpoint to set up shop in the US if things were to go south and if these tariffs were to continue and it becomes a survival issue for some, like you mentioned, in terms of companies? How likely is it that we have the capability of doing the same kind of commercials with manufacturing setup in the US?
So US manufacturing setup is not something that will happen in 2 years timeline. It will take some time. The cost of setting up a facility is at least 2 to 3x higher than it is in India. So that will take some time to go through. But if things were to go south, I think majority of our players already do have a facility in at least one facility in the US. They have more than one for a lot of companies. For the companies that are dependent on India-based exports, it's something they'll have to evaluate. They'll have to try to either diversify their dependence from the US, shift to other regulated markets, or try to set up a manufacturing facility. But that will take some time. The construction of it, the clearance of it, the setting up of the facility will itself take a lot of time. So that is not something that will happen in a 2 years timeline. They'll have to bear the impact at least for a year or so, and then once the facility is set up and it is up and running, so that is something at least it will take 4 to 5 years from today.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll let you go on that note.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Maitri.